Yehovah Eloheinu Svaot, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Please fill me and lead me and cover me with your Ruach HaKodesh, that I may speak your written words with boldness to those who listen. I ask all these things in Yeshua HaMashiach's name. Amen. We'll start with the Shema. Listen and obey. Children of Yehovah, pay careful attention and respond. Yehovah is our power and authority. Yehovah works in unity with himself, and you shall act upon your love to Yehovah with your power and authority, with your thoughts in mind, with your entire body, with all the muchness that you have. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. Hand, behold, nail, behold. 2 Samuel chapter 5. Then all the tribes of Israel came to David in Hebron and said, Here, we are your own flesh and bone. In the past, when Shaul was king over us, it was you who led Israel's military campaigns. And Yehovah said to you, You will shepherd my people Israel, and you will be chief over Israel. So all the leaders of Israel came to the king in Hebron, and King David made a covenant with them in Hebron in the presence of Yehovah. Then they anointed David king over Israel. David was 30 years old when he began his rule, and he ruled 40 years. In Hebron, he ruled over Yehuda 7 years and 6 months. Then in Jerusalem, he ruled 33 years over all Israel and Yehuda. The king and his men went to Jerusalem to attack the Uvisi, the inhabitants of that region. They taunted David. You won't get in here. Even the blind and the lame could fend you off. In other words, they were thinking David would never get in here. Nevertheless, David captured the stronghold of Zion, also known now as the City of David. What David said on that day was, in order to attack the Uvisi, we have to climb up from the spring outside the city through the water tunnel. Then you can do away with those so-called lame and blind, whom David despises. Hence the expression, the blind and lame keep him from entering the house. David lived in the stronghold and called it the City of David. Then David built up the city around it, starting at the Milo, earth rampart, and working inward. David grew greater and greater because Yehovah, the God of armies, was with him. Hiram, king of Zor, sent envoys to David with cedar logs, and with them were carpenters and stonemasons, and they built David a palace. David then knew that Yehovah had set him up as king over Israel and increased his royal power for the sake of his people. David took for himself more concubines and wives in Jerusalem after coming from Hebron, so that still more sons and daughters were born to David. Here all the names of those born to him in Jerusalem: Shammua, Shavav, Natan, Shlomo, Yachar, Elishua, Nepheg, Yaphia, Elishama, Eliada, and Eliphelet. When the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over Israel, all the Philistines went up in search of David. On learning of it, David went down to the stronghold. The Philistines came and deployed in the Rephaim valley. David consulted Yehovah, asking, Should I attack the Philistines? Will you hand them over to me? Yehovah answered David, Attack. I will certainly hand over the Philistines over to you. So David went to Baal Pratzim and defeated them there. He said, Yehovah has broken through my enemies for me like a river breaking through its banks. This is why it's called the place of Baal Pratzim, Lord of breaking through. The Philistines had left their idols there, so David and his men took them away. The Philistines came up again and deployed in the Rephaim valley. When David consulted Yehovah, he said, Don't attack. Circle behind them and engage them opposite the balsam trees. When When you hear the sound of marching in the tops of the balsam trees, advance, because then Yehova has gone out ahead of you to defeat the army of the Philistine. David did exactly as Yehova had ordered him to do and pursued his attack on the Philistine from Giva all the way to Gezer. How can we learn to love our Creator after reading this awesome 5th chapter of 2 Samuel? We can aim to be united as all the tribes of Israel were with David. Aim to lead as David led. Aim to lead as a shepherd. Aim to make your covenants in the presence of Yehova. Aim to be brave and be bold as a warrior. Aim to grow greater and greater as Yehova, the Elohim of armies, is with you. Ask Yehova to increase your power for the sake of his people. Aim to be fruitful and multiply. Consult Yehova, asking specifically your next move. Listen for Yehova to answer you. Then do what he says to do. Trust Yehova to hand over your enemies to you. Trust that Yehova goes ahead of you to defeat your enemies. Aim to do exactly as Yehova orders you to do. How can we love others as Yeshua loves us? We can encourage others to be united and to trust and obey Yehova in all he says to do. Bear one another's burdens. We can consult Yehova, listen to Yehova, and do what Yehova instructs you to do. Produce spiritual fruit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, humility, and self-control. We'll end with the Aaronic blessing using the name. Yehova will kneel before you presenting gifts, and he will guard you with a hedge of protection. Yehova will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards you, bringing order, and he will provide you with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yehova will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you and will set in place all you need to be whole and complete.